time, again, welcome. And the reason why we have this workshop series is because of our late Professor Dr. Gana Kumaran Subramaniam, our former head of school of University of Malaysia. For those of you who know Professor Gana, we know that he always had the best interests of the students at heart. And that's why he constantly innovated his ways of teaching and continuously found opportunities to enrich his students' learning experiences. And this is how the workshop series was actually initiated, because what he hoped is that these workshops presented by speakers from different backgrounds, from different countries, will help his students to understand and to learn about the current issues and developments in ELT. And once again, thank you, Keith, for continuing to support Professor Gana's initiative. Thank you. And on behalf of Professor Gana, I would like to welcome our speakers and to thank them for coming forward to support the School of Education and the University of Nottingham, Malaysia, and to share with our students the contemporary resources for teaching reading and how these materials can be used to supplement school materials to enhance students' reading. And more importantly, to cultivate a love for reading in students. And our speaker is Nixon Low from I Love Reading Singapore. Hi, Nixon. I Love Reading was founded in 2009, and it produces high-quality reads for students from upper primary to upper secondary. The company has been nominated for the Promising SME 500. It is an award that recognizes exceptional achievements of business in Singapore. And its publications have also been nominated 3 times for Best Education title by the Singapore Book Awards. You can ask Nixon how this can be achieved later, because Nixon is the founder of I Love Reading, and he's an entrepreneur who has been in education industry since. The reason why I Love Reading is founded was because of his passion to provide a range of quality reading materials to students. Then we have our third speaker, Shoba. Shoba is also from I Love Reading Singapore. She is an edutainer. So why she's called the edutainer is because she has taught for more than 10 years. And she's now edutaining learners by developing and presenting refreshing content for the English language educational magazines at I Love Reading, together with her teams. So this initiative is because of her passion in infusing a love for reading and developing critical thinking in her students.
First of all, a very good afternoon to all the teachers here. I will take you from part 1, which is the introduction. So who we are, I Love Reading is a Singapore-based education publisher, and we provide a wide range of services, including providing educational resources such as iThink, Inspire, and iMagazine. So today the topic is innovation in ELT and how I Love Reading can value add to teachers and students. And the next part will be how teachers can best use our publications to engage students. To echo the first speaker, Andy, I think this is a real challenge, the real world. Getting kids to read is very challenging because now we have social medias and many other distractions. So if students are not reading enough, so getting them to engage in the English class will be even more challenging. And for a teacher to push on to engage students will be another tall order. Yeah. So another quote by Warren Buffett: reading 500 pages every day, that's how knowledge works. It builds up like compound interest. But I'm very sure none of us is doing it, and many of us actually not doing it. So this is a real situation back in July 16, 2018. So we have a group of young boys trapped in the cave. And thank goodness some of them are able to speak and converse very simple English. So at the end of the day, they are all safe. So now, teachers, you will probably think about what is actually really a good reading materials. Is it really like a magazines, newspapers, storybooks, or even comics? Then your next question is if this content is it really enough for the students? Yeah. So in our belief, we strongly feel that the content that we develop must be very engaging, must be very educational, must be entertaining to engage the students throughout, and it must be edutainment effects. And this is the reason why we produce our publications for students reading. So we have the I, we have the inspire, and the I think. Yeah. So a very quick introduction of I. So this is a thematic publication that is catered for young readers from grade 4 to 7. So if you look at the covers, we try our very best to engage students by providing very attractive covers. We are thematic. So you can see we have, like, for example, the media, we have the holidays, we have the not so common so-called wildlife, as well as the food. Yeah. So the next publication will be Inspire. So this is grade recommended for grade 6, 7, or 8. Yeah. So again, it's thematic, and every issue of Inspire will cover through amazing stories. And we are very honored that in year 2018, we are shortlisted as one of the best educational title in Singapore. So next we have the I Think. This is beyond, the brand says I Think, and it says tagline beyond boundaries. So this is challenging the upper grades kids to stretch their critical thinking skills. So if you look at the covers, we talk about thematics such as AI, talk about how is migration impacting the society, stuff like that. So you probably may ask me, what is then found in your publications and why are they so different from the rest? So we are very pleased to inform all the teachers that we have integrated all the 5 core English language skills all into one publications. The skills such as writing and representing, reading, listening, speaking, and representing. So without any further ado, I would like to pass the mic back to Shobha, and she will walk you through the part 2 of this short presentation. Shobha, over to you.
Yeah, thank you.
Okay.
Yeah, hi everyone. I'll share my screen in a bit. Okay, hello everyone. So I'm going to take you through how we can actually use these materials in the classroom. So you know, as Nixon has mentioned, we have 3 different publications. So the question is, how do we use these materials? These are like looking like magazines. So what is inside these magazines, and how can we teach the language skills in the classroom proper? So skills, we can categorize them into 2 groups. So the first one is reception. So it's receptive skills, where a text is being interpreted. A text is already written and we have to interpret it. And this is where we have our reading comprehension and listening skills. And the next category is on production, and this is where a text is produced. So it's a creation. And of course, this is where we have your writing and your oral skills. So basically, in a nutshell, this exactly is what we want to teach in the English classroom. But of course, the question is, how do we do it most effectively, and that's what we hope to do through the magazines. Let me take you through this. Let's talk about reading comprehension first, since I think that is one of the major concerns of many teachers. And frankly speaking, as being having been a teacher for more than 10 years, I find that teaching reading comprehension is actually quite challenging to actually enable students to comprehend the text, and also comprehend the text at deeper levels, not just at surface levels. So let me just explain how we can actually use the materials in the magazine to teach comprehension. So for comprehension, of course, we first of all need to prime the students to actually read the content in the text. So priming is where we start talking about our pre-activities. That means the pre-reading activity. So we have to assume, of course, that students are not blank slates, right? So they do have prior knowledge. So we need to activate the prior knowledge, activate the schema, and this is where pre-activity comes in. So once we do the pre-activity, we do the main reading, and after that we have the post-reading activity, and that is where we talk about the different kind of questions that we can ask them to test and also to help them appreciate the text at different levels. So talking about pre-activity first, let's have a context. So this is actually a text from our I-10. You are only seeing the cover page, of course. So this is actually the struggles of a special needs student in a classroom. So special needs in the sense this child has autism and this child experiences bullying in the classroom. That's what the text is. I'm sorry, I would love to have actually given you the text as we usually would in a workshop proper. However, given the constraints of the situation today, I will explain it, summarize it for you. Yeah. So back to this. So this text, as I said, is about the struggles of a special needs student. So how do we, what kind of pre-activity can we have? So pre-activities can come in many forms. It can come in info bites, which we actually have in our magazine. Info bites are just short text. It could be about statistics on the number of the percentage of special needs students in schools. It could be about the different kinds of special needs students. It could range from dyslexia to autism and so forth. Another type of material we can have is, of course, newspaper clippings. So we have articles where you can actually talk about an experience of a special needs child in a restaurant. And of course, YouTube videos are an excellent way. I think nowadays with students, loving to watch these videos and all of that, I think YouTube videos work best. And that is why we incorporate them into the magazines as well. We provide YouTube videos where relevant and the students can easily access it through QR codes. So example for this one on special needs, we actually had a video about patrons at a restaurant being annoyed with this child who has special needs. So the child is explaining strange behavior according to them, and they look at them and give them look at the child rather, and give him very strange stares, So what can we do after that? So the students view the video. And after that, the teacher can take the students through the video and through asking some discussion questions. So this can be a good class discussion. What made the kid annoying? How is he different, from the others? And what is the kid's emotions, right? How are the kids feeling about this? And if you were one of them, what would you have done? So all these questions that comes from the pre-activity of the video are basically priming the students, getting them to think about this issue of special needs, think about this issue of bullying. And why are we doing this? Because we want them later, when they encounter the text, to have a deeper appreciation of what the text is about, to understand what it really means to have special needs and to understand the words in the text better. So this is one example of what we do in the materials itself. So before we give the text, we do have YouTube videos or we have info bites where the students can actually use them, and actually the teachers can use it for class discussion. And then we follow up, of course, with the text itself. So we give them a few minutes, let's say 3 to 4 minutes to read the text in the actual classroom. And then we ask the students, so what is this content about? Tell me, what do you think? All right. What do you feel? And we can go on and have a whole list of questions for that, as you would have already learned by now. And then comes the post activity. Now, the post activity, there are two aims really. Now, our post reading activity can be, of course, exam based, right? Because I think at the end of the day, we all have to be quite pragmatic. We have to get the students to sit for the examinations, and the post activity can actually, what we have is at the end of the magazine, we have a worksheet, not together with the article, but right at the end, so that it does not spoil the reading pleasure. So for those teachers who are interested in preparing the students for the examination, they can actually look at this worksheet, and it has a whole list of questions for reading comprehension in the proper exam format. So this actually helps a lot in assessing the students' level as you are teaching them. So that is one aim. The other aim really is, we actually also want to read for pleasure. So, so besides this exam orientation, if you want your kids to just read for pleasure, you can also ask them questions that actually are in these categories. So literal questions, vocabulary questions are actually at the first level. So literal means direct questions, meaning the answer can be directly found from the text. So it's not too mind-boggling. It's more surface level. Vocabulary questions, again, are also a little surface level. And then we have language use questions, where you could actually ask questions that could be, maybe there was a metaphor in the text, and you ask them, so what do you understand by this phrase or this expression? What do you think the writer meant here? So that is an example. Or it could be punctuation. Why was there exclamation mark? Why are these language markers here? What is the point of this? What do you think? And you can actually have a discussion on that. And finally, at the highest level, we have inferential questions. Inferential questions simply mean that we have to try and understand what the writer means, what the writer is trying to imply, what is the meaning behind the lines, what is hiding in there. It's not so direct, but it's very interesting to get the students to explore this. Let me give you an example. I think that would work better. Right. So let me give an example, a literal question, assuming we use the same text on courage, that is on the child with special needs being bullied in class. So one simple question could be, in what ways do the other children pick on the narrator? So this would be an example of a question you would encounter in our worksheet, which you can actually use as a worksheet or just ask in class as it is, just to understand whether the students have a good understanding at the surface level at least. So the answer is like, so they called him names and teased him during the lesson. And this answer is directly taken from the text. Another type, vocabulary question, example, pick out another word from the paragraph 1 that has the same meaning as, say, regular. So the child goes to the text and looks and then comes across this sentence that says, go about their normal lives. And then they pick it out and say, look, this is the word. This is the answer. So simply vocabulary. Another type, language use question. So I've got a simpler one here. So in paragraph 3, we learned that the child experiences accidental hits. So why do you think the word accidental is given in inverted commas? So this is actually asking the students to find, why do people use this sort of punctuation? So even sometimes when we talk, we do like, yes, he was so happy. Like, do you really mean that? No, we don't. So this actually boils down to communication. So how do we use language at a higher level? So here it is actually to show that the bullies had actually hit him, all right, although they claim that it was just an accident, as the answer shows. The next type of question would be an inferential question, as we have talked about. So inferential questions is again implying, so how can we tell the narrator was extremely sensitive to the noise around her? So how can we tell is the way we structure the question to let the students know that, hey, I'm not asking for a direct answer. Think there's something being implied here. So the answer is not direct, but something that they have to guess intelligently using the contextual clues, of course. So soft noise of pens coming into contact with the notebooks affected her so badly that she had to leave the classroom. So this is where we can tell that the child was extremely sensitive, the narrator being the child himself in this case. So these are the different types of questions that we can prepare our students for. Now, I'd just like to also add, this is what our worksheets at the back, they typically look like. So the worksheets are just all these questions, and you can see they have an exam format. And to help scaffold, for the help and scaffolding, we provide tips where relevant. So the students have, some sort of, something to cling on to. So they're not just left in the lurch to try. So for the weaker students especially, this would be greatly helpful. Now, actually, when we come to reading, it's not just text. Today, students are actually exposed to all kinds of stimuli. And of course, we have video stimulus. We also have visual stimulus. Visual stimulus meaning advertisements and web pages, which they're always encountering. So, of course, it's extremely important that we teach them this sort of reading comprehension as well. So we do that in this magazine. So, for example, this is just an example of a web page, an actual web page. This is from Earthwatch Institute, and this is on environment. So environmental awareness. So typical questions would revolve around this. So what's the purpose of this web page or advertisement? Who are we targeting? So what is the target audience? And questions revolve around like what kind of language is used so that this is being conveyed to the right audience? What's the purpose of these photos, these images? What do they do? All right, so why do we include visuals? And of course, how is this language used different from that of plain text? So we realize in web pages or advertisements, they will have active verbs like go get it, go grab it, or, come now, do it now, because that sort of urgency, which you don't see in, typical comprehension text or articles in the newspapers. So that's where we bring bring it to their awareness, to get them to be aware that, oh, there is such a difference, right? So how do we do that? So if you were to create one on your own, how would you do it? So that sort of thing. So comprehension has to be broader than just merely text, written text. So this is what we think that futuristically this is the way to go, and this is exactly what we're doing in the magazine. Okay, so that actually covers pretty much on comprehension. Let me quickly bring you through the other different skills that we also cover in the magazine. So which to actually enrich and value add the students. So one great thing I think is listening. Now, I think if I'm not wrong, I think as a teacher myself, I find it very difficult to look for, recordings of listening text with proper language and all that would be appropriate for practice or even for exam for students. So this is where we come in. All right. So I think this, I must say, it's a wonderful thing, for listening. What we have is something like this. Let me just show you. This is an example from our magazine, that is the I magazine. And in this magazine, we present the listening text in the form of comics, a comic script. So there are two people talking. So the beautiful thing about this is that we record what is being spoken. We have voice talents with standard English being used. And these are recorded with standard pronunciation. And you can see the QR code right up there. All right. So if you can just scan it and you can actually listen to it. And then it will take you through. And therefore, the students don't have to see the text. The teachers can just provide them with this recording and then follow up. We can actually have a listening activity. So we have a couple of questions. This is one example. There are many different types, also graphic organizers, but this is one of the simple ones that I'm presenting to you today. So for example, this one is actually on superhumans. So the question, one example is this, like based on the conversation, which of the following is true? So we give them 4 options and they choose one. So this is just one of the types of questions. If we have time, perhaps we can allow you to take a look at the QR code and have more time, but I just want to rush first, just in case. All right. The next one, of course, we have oral. Again, I'm pleased to inform you that we record reading and we also record conversation response. So reading text, you can actually hear our voice talents. They use standard pronunciation, which is British, and using the British standard pronunciation. And in our worksheets, we talk about reading tips. We have pronunciation, fluency, and so forth. And each time is a different kind of tip that we provide. It's a set of notes we give at the end of the magazine. So this is one example of a conversation. So besides reading, oral also means a conversation that you actually have with either your partner or in an exam with the examiner. So this is actually about a soccer player who was asked to leave the game because he did not play too well, and so it's about the feelings that he encounters and how people encourages him. So this is the video which we actually is all original. So our videos are all taken it's not copied from anywhere, and they are pretty local too. So in an Asian context, so that will help a lot for all students to relate. So we'll ask questions like, what do you think that people are feeling and how would you encourage them? So there are basically 3 different kinds of questions at different levels, if you look at it, going higher and higher from 1 to 3. And again, as I already mentioned, the beautiful thing about this is that we record the response. That means suggested response. So for each question, we actually have a suggested response. We get that recorded. So students can actually hear it and they say, oh, okay, so this is how I can respond to this. This is one possible way, and teachers can actually allow them to take a look. Of course, they can beg to differ. However, at least there's some model to follow. So it's the same thing. This is actually in our I Think magazine. Okay. Now, finally, we have not forgotten writing. So writing essays, we have a lot of that. I mean, that would be another workshop altogether. We cover different genres. We have narrative as well as personal recounts, expository, argumentative, descriptive, and also hybrid, which is a combination of different genres, which is increasingly popular nowadays and which is very real, I think, very real life. So together with these essays, article-wise, so let me give you an example. This one is an essay, argumentative essay, made to order babies, basically test tube babies, where you can decide what genetic material you want. All right. So this is actually very interesting. And it's an argumentative essay about whether you should encourage this creation of these designer babies. So we also provide YouTube videos, as I already mentioned, not just for our text comprehension. We also have YouTube videos to help prime the kids. And also, did you know section, as you can see in blue above. So this is like an info bite. again. So this is an example. And if you realize, you can also see in on the right hand side a small box, inspire, that's written there. This is actually a thinking question. So if you can read that, it's like, do you think governments should legalize the creation of designer babies? So really get them to think. So teachers can use this and actually create a lot of discussion, at whichever level that you think your class will be comfortable with. It's really up to the teacher to decide and follow that through. So this is example, as I said, about argumentative writing. This is actually an argument. It's actually an argumentative essay, but it looks like a magazine article. So it's engaging. And then we have notes as well at the back of the magazine, not exactly next to it, because this is not a course book. We don't want a very textbooky feeling. So argumentative essay. So for example, we can use this essay to teach how to write an effective rebuttal paragraph. So just a quick snapshot of what it might look like. So we talk about a rebuttal paragraph, what's the structure, and what kind of structure can you have, the opponent's argument, how do you write the rebuttal, and then using the Peel method and so on. So we have very good classroom worthy kind of procedures to follow. Okay, right. Now, let me tell you the last part of the magazine is actually on student essays. I'm very happy to tell you that we actually accept student essays from all over the world. Okay, not just in Singapore, but actually we also have a few coming in from Malaysia as well. So students are free to actually send their essays. And if we feel that they are good and they, we will publish them in this in our magazine. So this is an example of a student who wrote about pineapple tarts, but actually it's about the bond between her and a grandmother, I think. Yes, that's right. So this is a model essay. So you can see the editor will give some comments, right, about what she thinks about this essay. That's me. So I think, what do you think about the essay? And we will, bring out what are the good points. So students can use it as a model. Now, the amazing thing about this is that many students have written to us and said that they love this section because it is actually about their own peers writing, so they feel, it's so possible, and they're very interested to see these essays here. So it is quite a popular segment for us. Now, the other essay we have, also student essay, but we call this a tweak me section because sometimes the essays that come in, right, we feel that we also want to show students that how you can actually make your essay a little better. All right, so this we call tweaking. So the essay, we call it tweak me. For example, this one on, I think, what are your views as a discursive or argumentative essay rather, and should school start later? So yes or no, what are your views? So it's a bit of a discussion. So this is what the student writes, and we give comments for improvement, and then we provide the modified student essay, which is an improvement. So this is just like teachers marking, right? We give comments and we say, oh, you could do that, you could do this, and we go one step further and we provide the actual modification itself without changing too much of the students' writing, because at the end of the day, we don't want them to feel feel a loss of respect. So we respect their writing, but we make tweaks, which is exactly why it's called Tweak Me and not a whole revamp. Yeah. So with that, I actually end my section. I'm going to have to pass it over to Nixon now. Thank you very much for listening. Thank you. We'll take in questions later.
Let's move on to part 3. So as you can see that the content has been very well developed and integrating all the core skills within that allows teacher to teach students. So apart from that, Shoba also highlighted some of the QR codes that you can scan that brings you to multimedia approach towards the content we develop. So all these videos has been carefully developed, researched, and then we will link them for students' reference. Yeah. So earlier on, Shoba also mentioned about some thinking questions. So these are some of the stimulation questions that we have. Yeah, like for example, think about the kind of storybooks you read. What kind of conflict in the story appeals to you more, external or internal? Yeah. So this is very, very important for teachers. So we provide content, we provide worksheets. We also need to provide teacher's guides so that you can take it to execute in the classroom and continue to engage the students. So the important thing about the reading strategies, and this is something that I like to highlight, back in Singapore, one of the successful case study was the teachers here firmly believe that they must set aside reading periods for every students. So the reading period is set between 10 to 20 minutes on a daily basis. So with this in place, teachers can continue to engage students by conducting a discussion of a topic of interest based on the content they have found in the magazine. So on top of that, teachers can also set projects based on topics the students read. And over time, you will see that there will be a strong reading culture that has been built within your school. Yeah. So this one we strongly affirm, and we want you to take this to your school as well. And our reading recommendations for I magazine will be for grade 4, 5, 6, and 7. And Inspire will be between grade 7 to 9. And I think will be between grade 10 to 12. Kindly note that we have not, we do have a non-official Lexa between 8 to 900 in terms of this, so that if you would like to know more, we can take this offline to explain. Yeah. So about how schools are using in Singapore. Yeah. So we have more than 50% of the schools has adopted this product, these magazines for reading program. Then some of the testimonials from international schools that have shared with us, as well as some of the local schools. Then we also have testimonials from a teacher from Hong Kong has made a purchase, checked the content out, and he was personally very impressed by the content. And we also have students commented about our magazine, how the students has been really enjoying the content as well. Followed by parents. She mentioned that her daughter brought home a copy of the I Think magazine, and she was pleasantly surprised by the rich content, interactive resources, as well as the well-delivered worksheets that link with the articles. Yeah. So again, in Singapore, we are very honored. Some of the school has used our content to set exam questions. This was found out after the exam was rolled out. This is an extract taken from I Think magazine issue 3. And these are some of the milestones that we have accomplished. In year 2016, I Think was shortlisted. In year 2018, we are shortlisted twice. And I want to highlight this to you. This is something that teachers can look at our content if you are adopting it for reading material. So our content has been designed with a lot of very useful for teachers. Yeah, it hits all the learning objectives, practices that are tailored to MOE requirements. Our content are engaging with trending themes, then provide facts and story, but also help them to develop an opinion in students. And of course, the content are very credible because 95% of our writers are teachers, just like you. And finally, leverage on us. You focus on your classroom engagement and spend quality times with your students. So you don't have to reinvent the wheel to churn out new materials. You leave all the tasks for us to do it. So the learning outcome, we will look forward to achieve effective learning. Yeah, 21st century learners. We want to engage students and satisfy teachers. Okay, with this, we will move on to the Q&A section.
Sorry. Thank you, Shobha and Extend. I think all of us just wish that, we could have had these magazines when we were in school. So any questions? Thank you for sharing with us the practical use of magazines and how they can be used and implemented in classrooms. Thank you so much. So any questions from our students? I think one of the students said they actually would like to have physical workshops with the both of you.
So I think in certain times, actually, we do actually conduct workshops, and we did actually. I think the last one was 2019, thanks to 2020 being dedicated to COVID-19. So yeah, we did that for Malaysian teachers in 2019. Yeah, we came down and we did a workshop, and it was very good, very engaging. It was very lovely to meet all of them. Really, yeah.
Right.
Maybe soon.
Yes, we hope so as well. Otherwise, we can always have a workshop with you, like a longer workshop, so that students can experience more hands-on activities with I Love Reading. That would be great as well.
We did the workshop with the Johor English Language Teaching Association in 2009. Their session is the most popular, oversubscribed by 3 times. So it's really interesting. There may be one coming up. Hopefully the borders will be open soon and stuff like that. we have actually targeted them to be speakers for the MOE conference for all the international schools and private schools, because the program is really doing very well in the international schools and private schools, because they actually use this I Love Reading program, substituting all the BBC reading program. Because frankly, Asians, we want all the A's and straight A's and stuff like that. And their program actually is exactly doing that, helping students scores. And the other thing is that the good part is that all the content is trending. You don't need to force the student to read or look at the stuff, because they know what the student are looking for at what age, at what time, and whatever they publish is exactly fit that thirst that the student have. So it's really, really cool.
Right. And one question, because just now I heard that you said that you actually welcome contribution from students. So do you mean students from secondary schools and primary schools, or is it also open to higher education students as well? Like maybe, students can contribute some materials.
We're quite open. I mean, mostly we get essays from secondary schools, and also some from JC sometimes, because so we do get them from there, and we publish them in either Inspire and I think, depending on which is the level. Yeah.
All right. Okay. Yeah, because we have very talented students who are very good at poems writing, stories writing. So
that's
perhaps
awesome. Yeah. Why not? Yeah, that'd be great. Actually, that'd be great. Yes.
Right. Okay. So students, so you know where you can contribute your stories or your poems to, right? So any questions? So
May I ask the students to take part in our survey?
All right. Sure.
Yeah. Okay. Sorry, teachers. Yeah. Do you mind to just scan this QR code? Give us a comment and feedback. Then we can catch up with you after that.
All right. Thank you, Nixon. Thank you, Shobha. Andy has already left the session. So, all right. Okay. I think there's one question. Is extensive reading applicable in foreign language classrooms?
I don't know if this was directed at Andy, but I mean, if I could answer. I think that of course, I think extensive reading, that means simply about reading widely. I think it's definitely applicable to all classrooms, regardless of the level of the English. So actually, it just depends on what kind of materials. So the choice of material will be what matters, and not whether you should read at all, I think. Yeah.
Thank you, Shobha. All right. If there's no question, so we would like to thank our speakers for spending so much time with us and for the inspiring presentation. Thank you so much, Shobha and Nixon. Thank you.
Thank you.
It's my pleasure.
Thank you, everyone.
Thank you.
Have a good evening. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
See you all. Bye-bye.
See you. Bye-bye.